I'm with Mitch Jacobson from the Austin Technology Incubator. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Absolutely.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what the Austin Technology Incubator does?
So the Austin Technology Incubator has been around for over 20 years. It is actually part of the University of Texas. So we are under the umbrella of UT, but we are a nonprofit. So we actually get our funding from the city of Austin, the Austin Energy, which is our local utility here, and the state of Texas. We also get some grants out of the Department of Energy and Department of Commerce. That's how we're funded. All those folks like to fund us, but because we are really an economic development engine. We help companies grow, and they create jobs, and that's why things are, people want jobs these days, and it's more important than ever. We help these companies. We have 4 different incubators: clean energy incubator, bioscience, wireless telecommunications, and an IT, which is sort of a bucket for software and hardware, semiconductors, etc. These companies come to us, and some of the technology comes out of the University of Texas. Some of the technology just comes out of the local community here, which is a very active technology community. And then others come out of other cities and states and countries that want to move to Austin, because Austin's a great place to do business. And we get these companies, they find us on our website, or we meet them at a networking event or what have you, and they need assistance. They need assistance in terms of getting their technology from point A to point B faster than they would have on their own.
So are they right in the very beginning stages of forming a company, or have they gotten to a point where they've got a little bit of a proof of concept for their technology, and then you guys come in?
There's a sort of this space that says, in some cases, these companies are a little too early for us. In some cases, they're actually too late. So there's a sweet spot. The sweet spot is companies that have a technology that has, it should be off of the paper, hopefully it's somewhere in prototype stage, that they come to us. They've actually raised money. They've used their own money. They've raised money from friends and family, maybe some angel money, and they've come to us to help them raise more money. We can help them raise money through angels, angel networks, venture capital companies, the fund here in Texas called the Emerging Technology Fund, money that comes out of the DOE, SBIR grants, etc. We help them do all that. We also help them get connected to the city. Our Rolodex is pretty deep and wide, and so that means introductions to the academia world, researchers, faculty, interns, not only at the University of Texas, but other universities as well. The city and the state in terms of political connections, government connections, Austin Energy, etc., and business connections, attorneys, accountants, all the things that you need to run a business.
Set up the business.
So it's, in some cases, they've already filed for IP. If not, we help them get connected to IP attorneys. So it really, it's a sweet spot where they have not raised a Series A, and they need to get to that point to get to that Series A. And to get to that point where they can get in front of venture capital folks, they need assistance in putting a business wrapper around this technology, and that's what we help them do. We help them put their business plans together, financial models together. We hire interns from the University of Texas who are brilliant students who are in the MBA program, graduate engineering program, usually graduate students, who love to work for us because they get to work with a myriad of companies that do a number of different things, and they can help do a lot of these business plan writing and marketing research and competitive analysis and those type of things that these companies need. And these folks are technologists, and a lot of the folks that come to us are engineers who think of these things. They're very creative in terms of technology, but don't have the business prowess, and that's what we help them with.
So it's typically, I'm assuming, just a couple of people that are coming to you with this concept.
In many cases, it's 2 guys out of a garage.
Yeah. So they come to you, and how long does the relationship last between these guys and your group?
Typically, it's around 18 months, give or take. we say that they graduate from the Austin Technology Incubator when they've raised money up to a Series A. They've got we've connected them to every connection we've got that is going to help them get to the next level. We've helped them find talent for their team. So that's the fourth thing that I forgot to mention, which is, again, two guys come in, they get some money, and the next thing they need to do is to hire some folks for their team. Usually it's engineers, design folks, what have you, and then at some point they need to hire a CFO, possibly at some point even a CEO to take the place of the technologist that has come in, who's not the CEO who's going to take them to that next level. We help them find that. So we've rounded out that management team. We have put together a board of directors, a board of advisors, and we've gotten to the point where that product is about to be or is manufacturable.
Are there certain sectors of the industry, like in energy efficiency or in renewables, or even more drilling down more to that you're seeing that more people are saying that's still a problem that's not yet being tackled? We need to jump into that space.
I mean, energy storage is a big one. Everybody calls if we can figure out energy storage, that's the holy grail of our business. So if we can, the wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine. So if we can harvest that energy and store it somewhere so that we can use it when the wind isn't blowing, when the sun isn't shining, that's the holy grail. There's a company here locally that was in our incubator. They're graduated, a company called Extreme Power, which is down in Kyle, Texas, which is a company that does exactly that. It's a utility storage company that has actually an operation in Hawaii right now, in Maui, that works with a wind farm, and they are storing wind power. Still early. They are doing magnificent things. They're actually making money, and they've done a great job. But in terms of the technology, it's still pretty early.
Can you give us a couple examples of some of the companies that are currently in the incubator and what they're doing, and
Sure.
kind of where they are in the process?
A company that we have today is a company called Ideal Power Converters, which is a company that makes inverters for many applications. But in their case, they are looking specifically toward the solar arrays of today's market. It's a big marketplace, and it's a great opportunity. Their inverters are 1/10 the size and the weight and 1/2 the cost of what's out there today. They've got some really interesting IP that's going to protect them. They don't use ultracapacitors, so one of the problems with inverters today is that when a solar array goes down, it's usually the inverter. One of the reasons the inverter goes down is because of these ultracapacitors. They break. They've taken that out of the equation and have manufactured their product in a different manner. So besides being lighter and smaller and half the cost, it's also going to live a lot longer than most inverters out there.
And be more reliable.
Much more reliable and more efficient, actually. So their market is great. They've got a contract with Lockheed Martin to use their product in the military marketplace. They've raised quite a bit of money, and I think, in my opinion, they're going to be a home run. And they're about to graduate out of our clean energy incubator. Another company is a company called Firefly, which is an LED lighting company. A pretty crowded field, but one that still has a lot of opportunity in terms of taking the cost out of these LED light bulbs and taking the heat out. So their secret sauce is taking the cost out, taking the heat out, so it's a heat sink that's taking most of the heat out of these light bulbs. Longer lasting than what's out there today, and also brighter lights than what are out there today. Excuse me. So they are firing on all cylinders as well. They've got a nice investment from the Emerging Technology Fund here in Texas, plus some angel money, and they are about to go to manufacturing. And we've talked to folks like General Electric and Philips who are interested in what they're doing and are possible exits at some point in time.
So if these companies ultimately have an exit, does your organization get any of that exit? How does that work out?
So we are again, we're a nonprofit. So the funds that we have to pay our salaries and to run the operations of ATI come from the places that I talked about. We also take fees from our companies, but it's very, very reasonable versus most consulting companies out there. We do take a small percentage of equity of the company when they first come in, somewhere between 1% to 3%. But that gets diluted along the way. We don't put more money into the deal. So ATI has had over their 20 years, 4 companies that have gone public. We've had about 50 companies that have been acquired, and that money over time. So, for example, we had a company here in ATI last year, a company called Furnace Software that was bought by BMC Software for I don't remember the exact amount, but for a decent amount of money, and we got a check for $40,000 or something like that. So, yes, the money does flow back through the University of Texas, but it's not a whole lot, and that's not why we do it. It's more of we want skin in the game on both sides, and again, we charge a very inexpensive fee to do what we do. These are new companies; they don't have a lot of money, and again, we're working for the state and the city to help these companies grow and create jobs. So it all goes back to that.
Maybe there's a company out there you had mentioned earlier that sometimes some of these companies that you guys end up working with are trying to establish roots in the state of Texas, and so they work with you guys to really kind of help do that. What's the argument that you give to them? What's the sales pitch that you give them to say, you need to be working with us, and we're going to be able to take you to the next step, and our differentiating factor is X compared to some of the other incubation organizations that are around the country, or some of the other avenues that some of these companies can take to get themselves to the next level. Give us that sales pitch.
Austin is a great place to be an entrepreneur. The resources here in Austin are plentiful. We are one of those resources. The city does a great job. The Chamber of Commerce does a great job. There are for-profit and other non-profit incubators and accelerators in town. The great thing about Austin, it's in this area, is we're not competitors. We are very much cooperating with each other. So if we see a deal that doesn't fit our sweet spot, then we'll pass it along to Tech Ranch, which is a for-profit organization, or Bootstrap Austin, or Capital Factory, which is a whole different model, and we get the same. So we have a niche, and it doesn't take much of a sales pitch to do anything. We work with literally thousands of companies a year, and we only pick very few because, number one, we don't have the resources to handle thousands. Number two, we want to work with folks that we know that we're going to add the most value to, and that there's a good fit for. We are not begging folks to come in because we need the money, or we need the flow. The deal flow is there. There's lots of it. There's lots of companies out there. It's more of let's make sure the value that we have is what you need, and we're going to help you the most down the road. And so it doesn't take much of a sales pitch, quite honestly.
Mitch, talk to us just briefly a little bit about your background and why you're ultimately playing in the energy space, and why you're ultimately doing what you're doing.
So my background, I actually came to Austin 20 plus years ago to work for Dell Computer. When Dell was a much smaller company. I ran one of Dell's sales organizations for quite some time. Went to Europe with Dell for 3 years, came back. So I was ultimately with Dell for 8 years before I left. And then worked for another company and came back to Austin in '99, and actually founded my own angel investment company. So I invested with my group, small emerging technology companies, mainly in the hardware and software areas, because that's what I knew, for about 7 or 8 years. And I met Isaac Barkus, who is the director of the Austin Technology Incubator, and he was looking for somebody who runs Clean Energy Incubator. And I didn't know that much about clean energy, but I knew something about running big businesses and small businesses and working with these emerging technology companies and how to raise money and how to run these companies. Jumping into the clean energy business has been fascinating. As I say to a lot of people, I feel like I'm in the early '80s when I started working in the computer business. It has that feel to it. It has that vibe. It is just very exciting. There's a lot of money potentially going into these companies, and hopefully a lot of money coming out of these companies. And there's and it's something we need to do as a society, as a population, is to get off of foreign oil and use clean energy, be more energy efficient, etc. So it's all good, quite frankly, and I'm having a ball with it, and love working with these companies. Love learning more about what's going on. One of the things I should mention is that I have a partner in this clean energy organization. His name is Dr. Michael Weber. Michael is an assistant professor at the University of Texas for mechanical engineering, and Michael is my co-director, and he is somewhat of a guru in clean energy in Austin and Texas, and now somewhat in the United States. And so I've learned quite a bit in the last 2 years in terms of what's going on in the clean energy business. But if I've got technology questions, I go to Michael, and we find somebody in the university who really knows about biofuels or really knows about some of the more technical things that we need to do due diligence on when companies come to us and say, hey, can you help us? So we've got a lot of resources to lean on, and that helps quite a bit.
Well, Mitch, thanks so much for being with
Absolutely.
us today. I really appreciate the time, and good luck with the 9 companies that are currently in the portfolio, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you.